What's up, guys? Swift here covering everything Chicago Bears, and they have made a flurry of moves after concluding rookie minicamp. I talked about this before the camp, and this is something I expected. 6 players have now been signed to contracts after this weekend's tryouts, bringing the total number of undrafted free agents to 15. I broke down 3 of the guys signed last night, and 3 more were signed today. Let's go ahead and get right into it. First off is Caleb Williams' best friend, former USC wide receiver who transferred to Nevada last year, John Jackson III. He had 40 catches for 309 yards in his career, but was seen making multiple catches this weekend in camp. I don't know how realistic his chances of making the roster are, but being able to experience a training camp with his best friend is sure to make Caleb Williams a little bit more comfortable and help him ease into things. I would love to go to training camp with my best friend if I was Caleb Williams. So you got to love this, having his friend there. It's a great story, and he is a guy with some potential. But next up, I want to talk about the guy we signed today that I think has a great shot to make this roster. Freddie Swain, who was a 6th-round pick by the Seattle Seahawks in the 2020 draft. A guy labeled by a lot in the draft community as a sleeper back then. Some even thought Swain could be a steal when he went that late. He spent his first 2 years in Seattle working directly under Shane Waldron. In his first 2 years with the Seahawks, he had 38 catches for 502 yards and 6 touchdowns. Not bad for a guy that most of you probably never heard of. Waldron specialized at getting him open, while defenders focused on DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. But leg injuries, mainly a hip injury and multiple hamstring issues, have derailed Freddie's career the last 2 years. He split time with the Broncos and Dolphins in 2022, but he did not see the field in 2023. He made an awesome 50-plus yard catch for the Broncos in the preseason, but hurt his hip on the play, and it ended up costing him. He initially signed with the Dolphins last year in the preseason, but a hamstring injury would land him on the IR. He then asked for his release and signed with the Philadelphia Eagles, spending most of the year on the practice squad. Now Freddie is looking to get back into the NFL again at just 25 years old, and he has a chance to reunite in Chicago with Shane Waldron, a guy who he had success with in Seattle. Swain made multiple highlight catches during this weekend's rookie minicamp, and he impressed the coaches enough to earn a contract. He's a 6 foot tall, 197-pound speedster from Florida. He scored 15 touchdowns as a Gator and also added 300 plus punt return yards and a punt return touchdown. Fans might see a little bit of Bernard Berrien in him. He's only 25 years old, and he has plenty of experience in Waldron's system. He's also pretty athletic, scoring an 8.29 on the relative athletic score. He runs over 22 miles per hour and is a home run threat with punt return ability. Add all that up, and I think Freddie Swain has a real shot to make this roster. I don't think his production in Seattle should be overlooked. Offensive coordinators love to bring over guys that they're familiar with. Look at how many guys Getsy brought over that was familiar with his system. Lucas Patrick, Equanimous St. Brown, and Robert Tunyon. Swain is a guy who's familiar with Waldron. He's young and athletic enough to get on the football field and still has some upside. He also made some big plays at camp. Freddie has potential as a slot receiver and a punt returner. If he can stay healthy, he can compete directly with Dante Pettis for a roster spot. I do like his odds to make the team. He is probably the biggest sleeper of the group. Next up is linebacker Paul Moala, who, similar to Deshaun Mallory, also spent 4 years at one school before transferring and having a breakout season in 2023. He was a safety turned linebacker at Notre Dame, but he didn't get much playing time. He transferred to Georgia Tech in 2023, and he had a big year. He made 65 tackles, 11 tackles for loss. He had 4 sacks and 2 pass deflections. He's a guy with some special teams upside. He's 6 foot, 240 pounds, and ran a 4.74 40. He scored a 6.83 on his RAS score. But he's another hardworking and smart football player who's going to have to contribute on special teams if he wants to make the final 53. Also, if you missed it yesterday, we also signed tight end Tommy Sweeney, cornerback Leon Jones, and hometown defensive tackle Deshaun Mallory. I made videos covering those three moves yesterday. If you haven't seen those yet, make sure you check those out. But that brings us to 15 total undrafted free agents that were signed to contracts. Here is the list of the total 15 undrafted free agents, a little bit of a mix of everything on the screen here. I love that we brought in some competition on the D line. I think all three of those guys have potential. Keith Randolph Jr., Jamry Cromont, and Deshaun Mallory. Those guys are going to be fighting for a roster spot. I also think Ian Wheeler really has a shot to make this roster. I think Tommy Sweeney and Brendan Bates are battling for a roster spot as well. We need another tight end. And I wouldn't rule out Reddy Stewart or Leon Jones either. Those guys are trying to make the roster as one of our final cornerback spots. It's also important to know that quarterback Austin Reed worked out with Caleb Williams all offseason long, and reports are they have a good friendship and a great relationship. You love to see that, and the fact that Caleb has at least 2 to 3 friends on the roster, with his best friend just signed as well, and he's building chemistry with the rest of the team. But the biggest sleeper of this entire group to me is Freddie Swain, who wasn't even an undrafted free agent. He was actually drafted by the Seahawks. So there should be some really fun battles at camp this year. I think the roster is much more complete, and these guys are going to have to fight to make the team. I like that Ryan Poles added a ton of competition here. I would have liked to see another center brought in, but hey, maybe we'll finally draft one next year. And I'm not writing off Coleman Shelton yet. I think he has a ton of potential to be better than anything we've seen at the center position the last few years. With 15 new players on the roster, I am really curious to know which of these guys you guys like. Out of all these 15 players, who stands out to you guys? Let me know in the comments. And then I also want to let you guys know that I still have a ton of videos coming on our rookie draft class. I've been watching a ton of tape and going through Senior Bowl footage. I have a ton of footage on our guys who were at the Senior Bowl. The main two were Keith Randolph Jr. and Austin Booker. And I don't think I've hyped you guys up enough yet on Austin Booker. I really love his upside. Let me know what you guys think of all these undrafted free agents and recent moves. I still expect another move or two over the next week. Please remember to hit that like button for me, guys. Stay tuned, and until next time, bear down.